like a very strong positive vibe
Yeah.
to integrate them in. I think that I will look. I think that what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look for another person, but I will not be like I have to have them if none of them. I'll probably encourage you guys to be like, hey, like screenshot their. Or I guess you guys can look
We
like
can, yeah, we can just see them.
this person's
I looked at
application. What do
all
you
of their
think?
applications. We don't- I was
Oh,
like
you
trying to look
did.
them up. Yeah, so we can see them.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll probably do that. And it's like, hey, if we don't come to a consensus of like this person seems cool, like let's like try a session out or something, or maybe like I don't know, audition feels like a weird word, but like
Tryouts.
screen test, like a
Let's
screen test or like a
Hmm.
vibe check,
Yeah. Oh, vibe check.
um,
Vibe check.
a literal
Yes,
vibe
yes.
check might be necessary. Um, okay. Also, Tyler, did you get my message about you asked for like a bunch of stuff?
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Sorry. Let's see.
yeah, don't worry about it. It's just like if you wanted to use any of those things, just so you know what the status of them are. Um, cool. I believe we're all on roll 20.
I got two
Are we?
flippers, guys. So if anyone needs a spare
You did.
flipper,
Oh,
And then
that
yeah,
reminds me about items. Would Buru have left the other earring?
yes. So yeah, let's get into that. Um, let me fix that for like the 50th time. That's fine. Cool. Um, uh, we are gonna zoom back in on our intrepid heroes, our brave sailors, our members of the Shield, as they have just completed a very harrowing adventure on the island of Lagan. Um, after a week, the Reaper has been completely repaired by Orin Oddhammer. Several new crew members have been added to the roster, namely Miela Endel of the Cork and Cove, Tinkerton Mark II, an artificer slash warforged medic that is now going to be working on repairs as well as having a serviceable enough knowledge of like biological anatomy to be able to heal up some scrapes in a pinch, as well as being able to operate those cannons that you took on board, as well as Aurelius Windseer, who is now traveling with all of you. In the wake of this sudden onset of onboarding of these new crew members, uh, the B5 and the crew of the Reaper does lose one member. Uh, Buru, after having given the matter considerable thought and after a great deal of meditation and pondering the issue, has decided to take Palm and a couple of people from Lagan who wanted off the island following the events of Rotwood's plot, uh, decide that they want to make a new home in Hadzi. So Buru takes it upon himself to make sure that Palm and everybody else gets their okay, and decides to leave the shield and the party for now. He leaves behind the earring. He leaves behind a potion of healing, which he had purchased in order to repay kind of the things contained in that flask that was given to you, Suma and Ruby, that was used to bring him back up. He wanted to repay that debt, and so you guys now are in possession communally of a potion of healing. And he also leaves behind his shield emblem. They stay behind on Lagan when the Reaper departs, and they will leave at a later time. But they do stay behind. They are no longer traveling with all of you. Uh, cool. Hopefully that kind of sums up kind of what happened there. If there are any things that you wanted to give to Buru or anything like that, we can definitely do that. I will not roleplay as his character directly, but we can just say that certain things happened if needs be. Uh,
as the
cool.
captain, I would have, you know,
Yes.
we would have had like a party for him for his leaving. That's it. Like people would get drunk
Cool. Yeah.
in honor.
The night before the Reaper leaves, you all hold a feast in Buru's honor. He is, I think tight-lipped as usual and kind of a little bit cryptic, but you can tell that he is very much enjoying the festivities and a little bit somber at the fact that he's no longer traveling with all of y'all. But you all part ways uh, civilly and with no bad feelings whatsoever. Adventuring is a tough life, and if he wants to get back out on the seas some other day, perhaps you'll be around to meet up with him.
Hey, I want to tell him, just call it a tie for the battle you're about to have.
Okay.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Um, uh, cool. We are going to. So the Reaper departs from Lagan. Um, Lagan has moved since. So you guys were on there for a week. It was also traveling in that time. Aurelius and Simon work together to chart a path to Palestrom because Aurelius has been there before. He knows where it is, like kind of how to navigate there very easily. And you guys take off. Um, we're gonna pick off. I'm gonna say like kind of like the night before, the day before you are set to arrive at Palestrom. Is there anything people want to do kind of in the interim?
Yeah, I definitely do.
Yeah.
Um, at some point when it was later in the night, but not like right before we're done making food and everyone's gonna eat.
Yeah.
Let's see. Dell, I think. Yeah. So Dell is the cook, right?
Yeah, she's cooking a lot of it.
Okay. I would have at some point just walked in while reading my new, highly sophisticated book, Arcane Curses and How to Break Them. I was like, oh, wow, that's an interesting incantation. It dispels that. Wow. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just walking around reading my favorite book. And wow, I just showed up here. I'm sorry. When you get into a book like this, sophisticated kinds, you can walk around a bit. You can get lost in just the majesty of knowledge.
She raises an eyebrow at you and she's like, I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit surprised. But I guess, sometimes people aren't exactly what you chalk them up to be at first. Uh,
Darn right, yeah. And then I go to a page and I see so many words I don't understand. And I'm like, okay, well I'll be leaving now. I'm sorry to get in your business.
oh, are you sure? I was gonna ask you, I was gonna ask you to read some part of that aloud. It looks fascinating.
Yeah, but this is more of like an intermediate book. I could get you like a beginner's guide if you need. I assume you don't really know the magic that this book holds.
Yeah, honestly, magic, not my thing. Had a lot of bad experiences with magic in my time, but
Me too.
I'm sure that you will make great use of that fine reading material. Uh, Perhaps I underestimated you.
Thank you. And after I leave, then I go straight up to Suma and give her the book. I don't know how to read this. I've used it for my bit. I've proven that I can do this.
It was
It's
upside down the whole time.
it's useless to me, but I just needed it for the bit. So here you go. Arcane curses and how to break them. Have fun.
That's so weird. I literally was just about to go ask Ruby what she knows about curses. Maybe together we can
Yeah,
take a
yeah.
look.
I read some of it actually. I could help you if you. Yeah, I
Oh
got.
yes.
Yeah, I'm good with
You might want to
curses.
turn it. You might want to turn it this way.
Oh, I thought it was draconic. No.
It's like the front cover is like a bunch of runes. So it actually is kind of like and it's in like directly the middle of the book on both sides. So if you no matter how
Okay.
you hold it, it looks like it could be okay. But Suma like having had
It's like
experience.
it's a manga. You read it
Yeah,
backwards.
Oh yeah.
the, the, the,
Yeah.
dra-
Yeah.
the dragon people, they're weird like that. Yeah. There's very few pictures though. I will warn you. There's not much visual aid for this. Just
That's a
pointing
darn
that out
shame.
there.
Yeah, the only pictures are just like these insane like pentagrams and like spirograms, like graphs and stuff that like
Oh,
make
I
even
love a pentagram.
less sense.
Yeah, but okay, so
Um,
that's
yeah.
all I got.
Uh,
Where did you get that?
I just
cool.
somewhere on the island. Somewhere on the island we've left many days. It's been a long time. I was planning to use this a bit earlier, but like, you get sidetracked. Yeah, you know how it
Like a long
goes.
time has passed since we were on the island, and I suddenly don't remember anything that happened. So, um,
Yeah. Well, it's
yeah.
like we've been on the sea for like what, 2 weeks now?
Mhm.
I can
Cool.
I can believe that.
It feels like two
Cool.
weeks.
Okay.
It feels like 2 weeks, doesn't it? Simon's like, don't worry. I've I've been like kind of interviewing people and to see what like kind of what happened, and like I have a very detailed log of everything that ever happened. So if anyone forgets anything, I have like accounts and stuff like that, and I even have like chapter titles, and he's like chapter 7 6 says of mechs and men, and it's just like a transcript
Aw.
of everything that happened.
Nice.
Don't
Really.
worry about it. I got you. Um,
I think he was listening to me when I was monologuing.
Simon is always there. He's always like actually like plus 50 to stealth. He's always just around the corner taking notes.
He
Um,
somehow gets in like the smaller like rat areas. Like I don't know how he does it.
yeah,
I swear he can contort his body.
he's actually just a druid. It's just like it becomes a fly on the wall.
Mm.
Um, secretly. Cool. We are going to kind of fast forward. You all on the sea for about another week. Um, and the night before or the day before you are set to arrive at Palestrom, you guys can almost see like the lights of the city in the inky blackness. Um, we're gonna start off. Uh, Ruby. Um, you are. I think we talked about this last time, but when you do your prayers, are you usually in your room or like above deck?
In my room.
In my room. In your room. Cool. You are in your room, kind of finishing up your prayers to Priscilla. She reached out to you personally after the fight with Rotwood that day, and you guys kind of had a conversation of her warning you that the Red Wraith was getting stronger, kind of by the day. And I think that maybe that connection has gotten deeper as of recently, as you've been using your magic more and have heard her voice on multiple occasions now. You are in your room. Make a perception check for me. At 17. On a 17, you hear a tinkering at your door. You hear like a clinking of like metal on metal, as if someone is picking the lock to your door, and then it stops very suddenly, and you hear,
Oh
God damn it. And then you hear a knock on your door.
my god. Who is there?
Um, it's me. It's you hear Suzanne's voice from the other side of the door.
Man. Why did you tell me?
You open the door.
Yeah. Is there any reason why you're here trying to get in my room?
Okay, look, it's kind of this like a force of habit thing. Okay, I remembered to knock at least.
Interesting.
Um,
Uh,
uh, she kind of like looks down at the ground for a little bit, kind of rocks on her feet as if she wants to say something, but she's having a hard time getting it out. And eventually, she says, "What can you tell me about um the goddess that you worship? What is she like?"
so,
Yeah.
well, she's very capricious. She gets in moods. Sometimes it's to destroy something, sometimes it's to heal, sometimes to sacrifice, sometimes to spare. It just kind of depends on her mood. Um, that's the whole point of worshiping her is that you have to be okay with whatever happens. Um, because it's under control.
Huh. She kind of nods at that. She's like, honestly, she sounds like my kind of girl. Um, it's strange because most sailors, especially if you've been around like sailors from like a long time ago, they've heard her name, right? But for the most part, you really just hear the old stories, about like how angry she can be, how old shipwrights used to like take wood from trees struck by lightning and put them in their masts or at their helms. Like old rowboats back in the day used to have like one single like charred oar, like the lucky oar. I but I think hearing you say it that way, that feels true. I don't I don't know why I'm even really asking. It's just like after the fight in that laboratory, when I
Mm.
got knocked out and I came back, I I started feeling something weird. Like every time I look at you, there's like this like lightning like in my chest. And it feels like because you use your magic to save me and your magic comes from her, that like I kind of have, I don't know, some kind of connection to her as well. I don't know, is this like fucking weird? I'm being fucking weird. And she like kind of like turns tail for a second. Um
Hold on.
y- yeah,
It's not a
she
bad thing.
turns.
It's definitely not a bad thing. Um, I mean, if you worship me a tiny bit, because you
Okay,
worship
I'm not worshiping
Priscilla.
you, okay? You're more like I'm fucking a medium or something. Oh my god. It's like I don't know why I even bothered. Like I thought maybe for like a second you wouldn't be obnoxious. And then it's like, like why, right? Like and then she kind of
Fine.
catches herself. She says, "Thank you for answering my questions. I will um maybe ask you about it more um kind of as I try and figure this whole thing out. Thanks." Uh
Um, okay, I'll just say, like, I know it can be obnoxious, but this is something that I was in your shoes once. I was super confused, and if there was some of the time who could have given me more guidance on it, I would have really appreciated it. So, I mean, my door's always open, not physically, because there's a lock on it. But like, if you ever need to ask a question about um, Jeff, Priscilla, whatever it is, you can feel free.
he smiles at that. She says, "Well, no door is ever really locked when I'm around, but I really
Mm.
appreciate that." She smiles and says, "Thanks. Sorry," and then kind of like bolts in the other direction. Huh? Bolt? Storm? Okay.
But I meant to
Cool.
the bolt like locking.
Oh, bolt! Ah, it's multi-layered. Um. Also, Liz, I see you freaking out.
Sorry, it was just a little gay, which I appreciated so much.
I'm
I
not
feel
saying it.
lightning when I look at you. Oh,
I'm not saying
so
it
good.
isn't gay. I'm not saying it isn't gay. I'm just saying, I see you. Cool.
I'm fine.
um, uh, we are now going to cut away from that. Um, uh, uh, Gallet, you hear. Where are you right now?
I'm probably in my room trying on my new captain's coat. It's basically green. Let me see if I can put it in general. I cannot render this file. Darn it. Well, there's just imagine a captain's coat, and instead of it being black, it's like a dark green with the cuffs being like a fake
Cool.
gold color. Like it's obviously,
Okay.
not the good stuff. And
After your
also,
old captain.
yeah, after him. And also, probably should have mentioned this before, but I have changed feels. Actually, I'll just say I changed it now. And feels is now a small little sprite.
Hello.
It has like little green pixie hair, and also has
I
a little
really
like a
love it.
crown, to represent that she's Ophelia.
Yeah, and actually, as kind of time passes, you notice that on Ophelia's head, like the actual frog, like in the little chamber that she's in, the horns kind of like that were protruding from the top of her head have like extended a little bit further, and that crown like structure is becoming more developed. Um, cool. Oh, nice.
I don't know
Um,
how he deduced how to get that, but
I guessed, and I was right. I just copied the message and pasted in Google, and he came up with a picture. So
that's
he's
great.
insane.
yeah,
What an
He's a
investigator.
hacker. He's in the system.
basically, yep.
um, cool. So you're in your room as you're trying on your new captain's coat. You hear a knock on your door as well.
Okay, I like, ready myself. Come in.
You the door opens and you feel whoosh, kind of like a very faint gust of wind come in as Aurelius Windseer steps into the room, and he says, "Captain, uh,
Hmm.
I wish to call a meeting with um, everyone of note aboard the ship, specifically, you members of the Shield. Before we arrive in Palestrom, I have a few things that I thought it would be wise to inform you of. And um,
Well,
perhaps not everyone on the ship would need to be present, but um, the four of you, yes."
okay. I just talked to a corner. Simon, get the rest of the shield.
Simon, who has been he's just like inside of a crate. He like bursts out of it. Like his notebook was already, like his hand, pen in hand, was already flying across his notebook. Got it. He kind of scurries off. My new recurring bit is just Simon popping up in places he had no reason to be. Um, he kind of teleports to wherever he's most useful.
I saw
He
him somewhere else when I entered this room. That barrel is not connected to anything.
It wasn't even there to begin with. He just kind of like Metal Gear Solid like got into a box um as he realized that you were also in here. Cool. Suma, what are you up to right now?
Be in my quarters. I can't remember if we got our own rooms or if I'm still in the like weird bunk bed room.
When or an odd hammer did that weird magic thing to the ship got bigger and it now has enough space for each of you to have your own quarters, roughly the same size as like Valer and Aramis's, although Aramis's quarters is still a bit bigger.
As it should
Cool.
be.
Yeah,
So
so
yeah, none of you are bunking
I'm
anymore.
I'm in my room and I'm probably um like just reading, and every so often I'm like looking in the journal in my pocket, uh like when you're waiting for a text from someone and you're just like constantly checking your phone to see if anything's shown up yet. And I've probably also just for like flavor in my room, I've made like a nest on the ceiling for Bella because he's told me he was shy.
Oh,
And so I've like draped a bunch of curtains up there so that he can hide in the corner.
so cute. Bella from time to time will like pop around and be like, could I just say that like I really really love this. It really makes me feel comfortable. It's like dark and stuff, and it kind of reminds me of home.
You're very welcome.
Cool. And then immediately disappears again. But like pops in every now and then to ask you like what you're doing and how like, it's going. And eventually, you hear a pounding at your door. There's a meeting. There's a meeting. You better get your butt over there. Bye. You hear
Bringing my lunch.
Simon doing the thing that he does where he does not care what anybody else is doing. He just kind of needs to get stuff done, whatever it might be. You make your way over. Um, uh, in your pocket, your journal, which uh, like you can feel a slight heat from it as slowly the message you were waiting for is appearing, but it's kind of not done yet. It doesn't like appear all at once. It kind of like carves itself in letter by
Mhm.
letter very
I imagine it's
faintly.
like if the person was writing on the other end, it would be like you see the words forming like they were writing it. Is
Yeah,
what I was
yeah.
imagining it.
And I would say you probably wait a little bit, or if you kind of
Mhm.
have put it away so you won't see it until a bit later.
Mhm.
Uh, Alok, what are you up to right now? As whatever, what are you doing that Simon's about to interrupt?
Uh, Probably reading the ASL book, just studying that.
Cool. You're just studying that, kind of in your room or anywhere else.
Yeah, my room.
In your room. Um, Periodically, the ghost of Patrice will kind of like pop in and out, kind of just to check in on you. He kind of has done this every now and then, um, over time, but mostly knows to kind of like leave you be, like when you're in kind of like a phase where you kind of are not wanting to speak to people as much, and you're getting pretty good at this. Simon not like knocks on your door, summons you to this meeting. Cool. I'm gonna say we all gather up in Gallet's quarters for this.
Hmm.
Excellent. Um, so you all meet up in Gallet's quarters. You know, it's night has fallen. Um, a generous breeze is blowing behind the sails. You can mostly just hear like the creaking of the ship as it's rocking back and forth on the waves. You hear some like laughter from like deeper below deck as some of the other sailors are kind of joking amongst themselves. And Aurelius kind of stands in the middle of the room, very stiff, his head down, um, as if whatever he's gathered you here to say is difficult for him to talk about. Everybody files in, and then Simon kind of like brings up the rear, closes the door. I got everyone. I got everyone. Did I?
All right, good job. Now swab the poop deck.
Okay. And then he kind of deflates, and you can see him like think like you can see his like eyes kind of like, who can I ask to do this for me that would like conceivably do it? And he goes, okay. And then like as if he's thought of somebody and then goes, um cool. Aurelius is there. He seems to be in deep thought. What do you guys do? Do you just kind of wait for him to speak or do you prod him?
Actually, my feels is just gonna be flittering around, like being all bubbly, hi, hi, and she's just going to nonchalantly just like pat him on his shoulder, and automatically it use heart sight, which is
Ooh.
the sprite touches a creature and magically knows the creature's
Hmm.
current emotional state. If the target fails at DC, I think 13 for me, charisma saving throw, I also know if they're celestial, fiend, and undead. Oh no, I know the creature's alignment. Celestial fiends and undeads automatically fail the saving throw. So if he's undead, I'll know.
Okay, so he's definitely not a zombie.
Ah,
He does have. Well, I'll just roll this for you. I'll just roll this for you. Okay, that definitely fails your DC. Um, you feels basically communicates to you that uh Aurelius right now is kind of experiencing a lot of like turmoil. He doesn't want to go back to Pilstrom, but he knows that there is something for him there, um, and that he does experience some amount of guilt. You get a lot of guilt from him. But he is, in fact, an elf, just a wind elf, nothing extra to it, other than his own prophetic nature. He finally kind of like stirs and he says, right. Well, um, there are certain things that I want to address ahead of arriving at Palestrom. Um, in case any of you have not visited before, we will likely be docking at the main dock, which is Port Ventus. And once we arrive there, or likely even before that, in case we get stopped by customs or anything like that, um, you will all have to hide me. I am wanted by the Storm King and his court, and I will have to assume a completely different identity whilst I am in the city. Uh, I This is not the most creative thing ever, but for the time being, while we were in Palestrom or in Galan Republic in general, you should call me Rel, just sort of as a code name.
Rel.
Yes, like short for Aurelius. Um, You see, those of the village of the wind have a certain naming convention to their names. Uh, Almost every single one of us has the syllable air in our names. Um, those of us who are blessed with the power of the wind have the AIR, such as Valere and myself, and those who are not so blessed are AER, such as Aliceris. Um, uh, it would be a dead giveaway if I were to use my real name. So Rel, it will have to be. Um, he says, "Does that seem fair to everyone?"
Yeah, that's yeah.
Of course.
Wait, does that mean Aramis could do wind magic?
Aramis is AR.
Darn.
Yeah, Aramis is AR. Uh,
It's air. It's just right there.
yeah. I just have a preference for certain syllables, apparently. Um, cool. And he keeps going. It says, "Is there any? Do you have any questions of me about Maelstrom before we get there?" Yes.
Well, it's more of a how are they going to? How do they track you? Or is it sort of a divination? I look a little bit proud because that's the word I learned in the book. Is it
Yeah, the one
divination
word you saw.
magic? Yeah, yeah. Is this perhaps divination magic that's following you, or is it more of a just your name has air in it? You're an elf. Like, yeah, I mean, each time you walk in a place, literal air flows in.
Well, you see, they found me on Lagon because very specifically, Rotwood and his uh, lackeys sold me out. They were aware of my presence there, and they informed the Storm King of my presence there. Um, Part of why I thought that it might not be so bad if I were to visit Pilstrom at this time is because, well, it's the last place you'd expect to look for me. Um, uh, and he says, the thing is, and he pulls up his hair like this, shows you the green eye that's on his forehead. Um, there are not very many wind cloaks in existence, period, and our tattoos are very recognizable and very distinct. Um, this insignia on my forehead is rarer even still. It is I'm the only person currently alive who would have it. So when I disguise myself, which I may ask of you all a little bit of assistance with, I will have to cover this up. Uh, there, I cannot let down my guard for even a moment while I am there because every citizen of Palestrom worships the Storm King, and once his wishes are known, they will all conspire together to see them done. And if any of them recognize me, they will find a way to tell the Storm King directly. Um, the message system that you all encountered in Lagan, and I don't know if any of you guys remember, but like it was said, I think by some characters that this was actually taken from a system that was already in place in Palestrom. Um, they have a series of pipes that run through um, all of the buildings and larger ones in the main squares. And the Storm King is able to use the wind to send messages, like use his voice, carry it along the wind, and send it to every single citizen or to specific people whenever he chooses. Some of the higher wind cloaks in his court have the same ability as well. And sometimes those pipes are also listening instead of just speaking. So if anybody sees me or recognizes me, it may prove to be trouble.
All right, yeah, I can. We can disguise you for sure. How good is like some of your like other accents? Like, what can you do? Can you do like an old gruff man?
I am old and gruff. How was that?
Sound a little
That
more.
felt good. Was it
Yeah,
good? It felt good.
sound a little more confused. Like I'm old and gruff
I am old
and
and gruff.
perfect. Yeah, we can work with that.
Is there a way you can not speak while we're there?
I am too old to speak, but when I do, I'm gruff.
I don't know about you guys, but I wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah.
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 I've also got a disguise kit, so that would also just help with the general idea. I could
Oh,
put like a little like a It doesn't. I don't know what it's called, but it's like the Japanese fisherman bandana. Give him a gut. Like I put a pillow in his shirt and tie it around with another like a rope to give him a gut. And just
Honestly, if the ladies from the Cork and Cove travel with us any longer, I will soon develop a gut of that naturally. But yes, I approve this idea.
okay, and also just like sketch a scar on his left eye to make him look gruff, and
Oh,
then all his hair into like a big bun at the top. And I think that's gonna be good.
You,
as yeah.
if we wanted to avoid detection from the pipes, we could all learn ASL. Then just communicate through ASL, like, whenever we're talking. You can't
Honestly,
watch us.
kind of
We don't
dope.
got cameras.
Um, um, well, that certainly would be. I can do my best to learn that. I have been intrigued by um those two in the kitchens. Um, perhaps Alok, if you are ever you know wanting to take a break from your studies, I could borrow the book.
Sure.
Excellent. Cool. And kind of like as these discussions are dying down, he gets quiet and he says, "My ability to portend the future has been impaired as of late. Ever since, ever since the moment where I didn't quite die, it has been difficult for me to ascertain precisely what is to happen next. I seem to be only receiving vague feelings, but every night in my dreams, I have dreamed of a gruesome and horrifying death, over and over again, at the hands of a man clad fully in scarlet. I know not what this means, but I sense things. I sense trouble brewing in the future, I just don't know its shape. I sense large amounts of deaths happening all at once across the seas, primarily concentrated near Laki. I sense fish dying in alarming numbers, and I feel as if something in the cycle of all things is being disrupted by. I don't quite understand what it is, but I am concerned. Um, he kind of like falls into this deep thought, kind of shakes himself out of it, and he says, "At the end of my dreams, I see the world being ripped apart by the wind, and the sea, and the crackle of lightning, and I fear that the storm that everyone has been foretelling may be real after all."
Eh. May I make a perception check on specifically my ring?
Yes,
I just want to see if it's wigging out a little bit. Ah, it's probably fine.
it's fine. It's just ringing.
It's a
It's
ring.
ringing.
It's just ringing.
It's ringing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Um,
Yeah.
could I, so remember like a few weeks ago when we were talking about weird dreams that we had?
I mean,
I was
we
like,
had, not you.
no.
You did not have those dreams, actually.
Right. So I was lying, because we
Oh,
didn't know each other that well. Um, Basically, in my dream, Priscilla came to me and was saying that the
Hop,
red race is
hop,
attempting
hop. Name?
name
Who came to you?
It's not the god.
Priscilla.
her goddess Priscilla.
Yeah.
I need to check my notes again. Is
Okay, well, he's checking his notes.
This is the goddess we joked about being a bard.
Hear a name and then you go, wait.
Do I know this name?
This has happened before.
Yes, I remember. It was the great insight check incident of 2021.
Yes.
Yep. Where literally everybody did an inside check on each other. Good times.
Makes sense. Like,
Um,
I don't trust you with my dreams.
yeah, but yes, Priscilla is the goddess of storms and the tempest and hurricanes. Um, she is in mythology the brother of Ventus, the god of the wind, who is worshipped in Palestrom. Priscilla is not generally worshipped; she is more feared, kind of as Suzanne was alluding to earlier. People are afraid of storms, but they worship the wind when your life is spent out at sea. Um, but yes, there's no trickery here.
I'm upset that I haven't put down my patron's name.
Are we from the same church?
Do you want me to remind you of your patron's
You have
name?
a patron?
I said it last.
Yeah, it's what I'm looking for. I don't think I actually put it down for some reason, or I can't find it.
I think it's in our Discord messages. We did it over voice.
Okay, no, okay. The name, okay, never mind. I thought of it because Priscilla is also a thing with the water. I was freaking out for no reason. So if you just see Gallic like freak out, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
good. Cool. Continue.
Well,
Continue your thought.
anyways, so she came to me in my dream and was basically saying the red race is attempting to usurp her, kind of take over her powers, and instead of storms sometimes being chaotic, sometimes helpful, it's just going to be chaotic. So sometimes worse than things are now. If you already are fearful of Purcell and you don't worship her like I do. Um, yeah.
Weird flex.
You see Aurelius turn, and you're saying this out loud, right? It's like everybody around.
Yeah, yeah.
You see Aurelius turn, and he's like, attempting to usurp a god,
Mm.
and he kind of falls very quiet and very hurriedly storms off.
Follow that man.
Cool.
He tried to remember her name too.
Yeah. He also
Yeah.
freaked out for a bit. You all follow him. He doesn't get very far, but he kind of makes it all the way to the top deck, and you see he's kind of leaning over the railing, and his arms are shaking, and the wind is blowing. Um, he doesn't seem to be speaking. You guys kind of come up behind him. What do you say to him?
What's his emotional state if feels touches him?
Uh, Guilt and kind of panic.
It's okay.
Oh,
This is a safe space. You know what? You know what? I move Ruby a little bit to the side. Look, actually, I was to change it with Fields' whole thing. Partially, it was to help you with your duties. Right now, he's feeling guilt and panic. Work with that.
wait, you're telling me this?
Yes.
What do you want me to do? Make him more panicked?
No, no, it's not.
Or
Just be someone to talk to. Be like,
okay,
like let him out, but like in a soft way, in a good way, the way you
okay.
can do it, Ruby.
Oh, okay.
Oh, absolutely.
I go up and tap him on the shoulder. I'm like,
He kind of
feelings,
turns with a jerk. What?
feelings. Do you have any feelings you want to talk about or something? Like
He kind of
emotions, whatever?
he kind of shakes his head and he says, I just remembered something that perhaps I had blocked out or wasn't supposed to remember. Do you remember when Rotwood said that a prophecy was made in Palestrom
Mm.
about the storm? I think that I was the one who made that prophecy. I don't exactly remember, but I remember uh, being on the floor of, of the palace before the king, and I remember lifting up into the air in a voice speaking that wasn't mine, coming out of me, and I made a prophecy, but I don't remember its contents. But this idea of a mortal being attempting to usurp a god, it rings familiar to me. And I can't help but feel that me making that prophecy is the reason that Palestrom has become what it is. And it's the reason why Rotwood on Lagan made the decisions that he made. It seems that whatever I said then, though I do not recall it, it is affecting things all over the world, affecting how these leaders are treating their people, and I am unsure of how to manage the weight of that sort of responsibility.
I mean, is that your responsibility? You only predict the future, you don't make it. It's kind of on us, right? On everybody.
Make a precision check with advantage.
Uh, oh, perception check?
Persuasion with advantage.
Oh, persuasion. Okay.
You got this. Oh, yeah, you got
Oh,
Ooh.
this.
okay. You don't need the advantage apparently. He nods to himself. I said, "It's just like, it's like something Valère always told me when we were children. She used to say, I pick the fights, she fights them. Perhaps it's not quite my responsibility to ensure that the future is changed, but merely to inform people of what may be to come. I only worry that whatever it is that's out there, whatever it is that's trying to usurp the gods, is something that can be defeated. That this is a fate that can be averted." And he says, "Thank you, Ruby." And he seems to calm down a bit. And he says, he looks around at all of you and says, I apologize for my conduct, and I believe that I will return to my quarters for um, at least until the morning. Thank you. And he walks away. The four of you are on the deck of the Reaper. It is night. The stars are bright. Above you, endless constellations. What do you do from here, the four of you?
So he's saying that the Red Wraith wants to usurp the gods? That's. For, sorry to speak like this, but that's poppycock. That's. That we saw that we sort of fought the thing. Like, there's no way that that ghost can do that. I mean,
We did see him get stronger, though, as he rode
Yeah.
away.
I'm also a little confused because he called him immortal. I don't know if undead are mortals or if he's undead.
he's a ghost. Are ghosts undead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then he's probably undead. Ruby, you're a cleric. Did you get like a vibe of? He's a ghost, so
I will say that Aurelius probably just meant a thing that is not a god to become
Okay.
a god.
okay.
Yeah, mortal in the sense that you're not a god,
Yeah.
not necessarily that you can't
God is just
die.
another tier. Like everything is below it.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess if
Um,
he is like a virus in the way that he grows in strength and consumes all around him, eventually he'd be able to get to god level. But like
I
that
mean,
would be
there's
a
those
lot
are
of killing, like a lot.
those shield members going like the newbie ones dying. Probably all the red race.
Yeah, I think that was assumed before.
Remember the prophecy, Rotwood's prophecy that he brought up?
I don't entirely. I
Something,
thoroughly understand that.
something to do with
You're
human?
cutting out a little bit. It's a weird static.
Oh. Is it okay? Or is it like on and off? Is it okay right now?
Sorta. You sound a little robot-y.
Oh no.
You might be using your laptop microphone. You can probably connect your AirPod microphones if you
I
want.
think it is my AirPods. Yeah. I'm using my AirPods.
I think if you just like speak up more, your voice
Okay.
comes out on top of the robot stuff. But I think when you speak more quietly, it kind of like
Is it? Okay.
overrides it. Yeah.
Talk
Should I
boisterously.
try leaving and come back?
Sure, if you
That'll
like.
help. Or is that okay?
Sometimes it helps, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes that helps.
I'm back.
Oh,
Cool. That sounds better, I think.
Maybe it's just my camera. Is it still good?
it's better.
It's better now for sure.
I was just saying, do you guys remember Rotwood's prophecy? I remember it had something to do with like human, like him, and then Palm, and then other stuff.
The
It
prophecy.
was.
Yeah, Ayla.
You go on. Okay, well,
You got
it was
this.
something about just a bad storm, and he was trying to move Lagan away to beat the storm,
They
get away
wouldn't.
from it.
He said basically also that they wouldn't be able to feed people that need food
Yep.
because of.
They'd have to
Hmm.
stop along
Yeah.
the way, which would slow him down.
So, I guess people, but like, when you prophesize and whatnot, like that's not set in stone, right? Because like, I mean, I know it's a small case, but we got well, I think Suma has Portia's portable portent. If that's
I
messing
do.
with fate a little bit, I mean, if she uses that, you can still fail. It just
I don't
increases your
think.
odds.
I don't think that fate is set in stone, but the Wraith did mention it in when he visited me in my trance that same night. He mentioned fate, and I can't remember exactly what he said, but he seemed to think it was ineffable that it would come to an end with him.
Yeah. Actually, we have like a pretty good team for this if it just comes to understanding the Red Wraith. Alok, you can
He
see and
also,
talk to ghosts. Suma, magic. Uh, Ruby, your god is directly connected, and my ring, my the person that gives me my powers, she is apparently miffed at this individual. Nothing more. I got nothing more than that, but not a happy camper.
good to have
But she's
someone
never a happy camper, honestly.
on our side.
I don't. I wouldn't go that far, but so we know that this red wraith individual making lots of enemies, lots of enemies. We can probably get more info on him if we visit an
I
area.
think so. Well, he said in his when he visited me, he said that he was once a wannabe hero like us. He, for what it's worth, was mocking me for wanting to help people, which how low can you get? But I think if we discovered who he was when he was not a ghost, that would lead us to some helpful information. He said that he tried, and when he failed, that is what he became.
Wait.
Do you know where he was from?
I don't think he said.
What was that last part you said about he became?
It just that when he was trying to be a hero, a good person, someone, an adventurer like us, perhaps, and that at some point it sounded like something happened or he failed at some task and it caused him to become nihilistic or fallen or dead and a ghost.
How
You know, not sure, but
how old is the shield of Celestia?
You would know it's approximately like 600 years old.
Okay, that we might want to, if we ever get back
Actually,
to
sorry, 800. 800.
if we're able to get back to Lockyer or like the place in the Gallon Republic, we might want to check records of previous shields. I mean, that's from what I know, shield is where you go when you're doing mercenary work, but also want to help usually. Obviously, lots of avenues there, but it's a place to start.
worth a
But
For
shot.
sure.
and also maybe we need to be more. Maybe we might want to hold off from going to Locky anytime soon. Seems like he's specifically prowling those waters, which I don't like. That's not cool. Anything else? Does anyone have another like weird thing that's very specific to this thing that they've been holding back because we're all like new to each other? Like I understand discretion, but also, you know, God Killer. It's sort of obviously he's not gonna do it. It's a god. They're gods, but just letting the proper authorities know. I mean, like this is obviously above our pay grade, but if I kill
I
him,
have
I think
something small. I don't know if it's important, but now that you mentioned he used to be an adventurer, I think someone he used to adventure with used to have this amulet. Just a guess. Just something he said to me back in my dream. I don't know if it's important, but
amulet.
it's worth noting.
Do we know what that amulet is, or is it just he's been wearing this amulet this entire time?
We talked about it last time.
It's been
It
2 weeks.
feels like 2 weeks.
It's been 2 weeks. I'm sorry.
That
Yeah,
was 3 weeks ago, actually. That one.
was it?
That
Was that? Yeah.
So if
specific
you could just
conversation
if you
was
could
three
just
weeks
do
ago.
a sticky notepad, just like quick run through if possible.
Um,
Let's you talk to ghosts, maybe.
I can't remember what I told you. This is like out of character.
Okay.
I think it's mostly just it was what allowed me to bring Aurelius back and what killed Patrice.
Oh, cursed items. That yeah, we
Yeah,
were
it's the
able
curse
to
thing.
bond a little bit there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what you know.
Man, there's a lots of cursed things going on. That's You know what? We should probably exercise caution when picking up loot in the future. It's just like popping up more and more.
And luckily, you now have a book called Arcane Curses and How to Break Them.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Other than that, I think we just need to. Are we are we arriving at Port Ventus or Palestrom? Is Palestrom near the port?
Port Ventus is just the name of the port at Palestrom.
Ah, that's way less confusing. Okay, yeah. So we'll arrive at Port Ventus, and our two main objectives: the animal poachers, and letting the shields know what's happened and what's probably going to happen. And third thing is just making sure, like, Rel doesn't get caught.
Incredible.
Is there anything we're missing out on?
I think that's it for Palestrom.
Okay, so when we arrive in dock, I will be tried. I will disguise myself as best as I can as Aramis, and I'll have like a scarf around my throat and say I've been punched real hard, so that will explain my weird voice. I don't know how we're going to find the whole animal poaching thing, so I think Alok and Suma, you might have to go on like an investigation trip, or they will come to us. So me and Ruby can stay
I
on
was
the ship for
thinking
that.
that might be the case because I figure the Reaper is probably pretty recognizable, especially if Aramis has been doing this for a long time.
Okay, so when we dock, me and Ruby can stay on the ship. You two can investigate where it might be and also be the ones to let the shield know what's going on. And we can move forward from there. Any objections?
What was this about you dressing up as Aurelius? Is that?
No, Aramis.
Oh, sorry.
Well, because
Okay, got it.
They made the deal. If a new person shows up, I do understand that it can still happen, but they trust you more if it's Aramis. So I got these
I thought I said
things.
Aurelius. My bad.
I bought these paper mache horns from Lagan. I got things ready. The only difference is that my coat is now green, and I just didn't want to change my coat color. I feel like this really fits my aesthetic.
Do I need to dress up as Valere then?
Okay,
She's like a good foot higher than me.
I'm gonna let you know. We're not gonna. We're just gonna say Valere is somewhere in the Gallen Republic. If they know more about us, we can say she's looking for a brother. But right now, you're just second in command to the second in command. We picked up new people. You're more of the stoic bodyguard type. Except when you're using therapy, where you're extremely effective. I've also heard how well you've been doing with Nico. Good job. That guy's got some issues.
Yes, he does.
Okay, if that's it, just everyone needs to, I guess, get prepared to leave. I'm going to have to borrow. I'm sorry, Suma, but I'm gonna have to borrow your bat because that is also part of the animals that were promised. If that's all right.
I'll ask him. As long as I can promise that he won't be harmed, he
Oh,
will be willing to do it.
we're not gonna let them get sold or harmed, but we do need
Oh,
them there
I
for
wouldn't think so.
presentation purposes.
Very well. I'll ask him.
We're gonna drive a hard bargain. Or not. I don't know if it's already been made. We'll see. We'll see. All right. Dismissed.
Cool. As you all part ways, uh, Suma, you hang around on the deck, and you go back to checking your phone, and by phone I mean your little two-way journal. Um, uh, and you see that you have received a reply. And it says, "Dear Sunboy, your formality and optimism, even in times like these, has always been endearing.
Oh no, frozen. Oh.
Oh, where did I drop off?
You got through the first sentence and then I lost you.
Okay, and it's even more welcome now that you bear such good news. I can answer two of your questions at once. Bar Vault is an extravagant city, carved into the side of the Spoke Mountain, right off the coast, and inside it is a place called the Ivory Vault. Operating in that city is an organization I've heard tell of only in rumors, a shadowy presence known only to me as the Ring. The Ring, the Golden Vault, the Ivory Vault, the names you've given me. If anyone has a word to say about any of them, I will make them talk until they run out of breath, and I will write to you immediately. I know this goes without saying, but I miss her more than I can manage. Our pride and joy, our little eclipse. I hope that your search proves even more fruitful than mine has been, and I pray that we are all reunited soon. Yours." And then signs her name in a very extravagant um, signature that like kind of like as you finish reading it, it like carved itself across the page, finishes itself off that way, and that is the response that you get. Zisha has written you back, and those are the contents. Cool. That's a lot of information, I know. But
Yeah,
she will write. She will be.
You said that you would copy paste it later, so I
Yeah,
didn't write any of it
I'll
down.
copy paste that. I copy paste that to you.
Yeah, I think Tsuma. I think he just like while he's reading it, much the same as I have. He just like can't hide his emotions, and he is like, it's just like, I fucking miss you. And he puts it back in his pocket, and I think he stays on the deck for a while, collecting his thoughts.
Cool. Actually, make a perception check for me. And everybody else goes back to their rooms.
Yeah, I have to put on my Aramis cosplay.
Excellent, excellent. That's good. Do that.
Ooh,
A
you
nat
go,
20.
girl! Yeah.
On a nat 20, the sea is still for a moment. Um, the waves kind of ease off. The ship doesn't creak. You don't even hear, the snoring of Andros below deck, which you always hear in times of night. You don't hear any like last drunken refrains of drinking songs in the cafeteria, but you do hear something muffled but beautiful. It's a melody um, that kind of like it's so faint you can barely hear it, but you feel yourself compelled to kind of walk closer to where you feel like it's a source. Um, uh, and you walk over there, and eventually you see emerging from the water is Miela, like her hair slicked back from the ocean, like her ears like finned, and she sees you and immediately like kind of like make sure that but you can tell that like whilst she was underwater she had been singing, um and that in like a safe way that the water is blocking anybody from being affected by it. She looks at you sheepishly, um dives back down, and you can see kind of the outlines of her like bubbles kicked up. You see her shoot out of the water and kind of like land very gracefully, dripping wet, smelling of salt, onto the deck, and kind of like waves at you, um, uh, and kind of just like don't tell anyone kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and you see as she kind of like
As she's jumping out, I'll be casting comprehend languages so I can speak with her.
oh yeah, she signs
Not
to you.
ritually, just
Yeah,
immediately
yeah,
so
yeah,
I
yeah,
can
yeah.
chat.
She signs to you and she says, uh, "There's been a lot going on recently, and whenever I'm in the water, it's so much easier to think and to be myself. And don't tell anybody. I feel like Dell's gonna worry about me if she knows that I'm doing this. She thinks I'm gonna get like I don't know attacked by a sea monster or something. But like everything in the sea is like super super nice. They're just a little sad right now. And I think that when I'm in there, they're a little less sad. And kind of but do you say anything back to her?
Yeah, I just say, don't worry. Your secret is safe with me as long as you'd like me to keep it. I know that um, a moment of quiet solitude with the beasts and the water and the air is balm enough for the soul.
I like the way you talk. And she kind of smiles at you again and says thank you, and then returns back to where her quarters would be. And kind of as you are leaving the deck, you notice that around the ship, um, despite Aurelius's proclamations of doom, the fish around here seem to be very lively and very plentiful. Um, cool. That being said, um, everybody kind of goes about, goes to sleep, goes to bed,
Something I
and
want to do before
yeah,
I want
yes.
to go to Aurelius's room and just knock on his door.
You knock. He says, "It would appear that you guessed correctly that I couldn't sleep. Perhaps I'm not the only prophet around." And he opens the door. Um,
I'm no
can I help
prophet.
you in some way?
Yeah, I just had a question about something you said earlier. You said oh, you mentioned the dreams and you saw the scarlet clad man. You said
Yes.
he was killing you and stuff, just horrible things.
In my sleep, in various different ways. One time, most of the time, he just stabs me, which
Oh,
seems the most pragmatic way to accomplish the job. But there have been times
true.
where he's held me at the prow of a ship and I'm struck by lightning. There are
Oh,
times where he holds me beneath the water until I'm gone. There are times where he ties me to a mast and fires a cannon at me, and it feels very, very real.
Is there any reason he's killing you? Do you know, or is it just torment?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he wants me dead, or if perhaps I have cheated death somehow. Because there was a moment where I felt that I'd crossed over, and I wasn't very suddenly. I still am unsure how that happened, but perhaps this is fate's way of telling me it intends to catch up. Or perhaps whatever this creature is, you called it the Red Wraith?
Yeah, that's what I believe it called itself. Someone called it that. Yeah.
Right. Um, Perhaps whatever he is, he has it out for me for some other reason. But this is an area that I have little knowledge in, unfortunately.
Okay. I was just curious about what you saw in the dream, but now you said that you've been on ships and such, so I guess it's not quite as relevant as I thought.
What did you think
So
it was?
I was just wondering if you saw what I saw, like if you were in a library or something else, but
Oh,
if not,
library.
then no.
No, but if I ever dream of something similar, um, I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you. And you should try to catch some sleep. I don't think you're gonna be able to pull off the old man voice otherwise. So
Are you sure?
you know what? Maybe it'll be
Because
fine.
I feel like it's pretty good. Did I mention I am old right now?
I feel like it's better now that you're tired. Yeah.
Oh, perhaps that's kind of a it adds a layer of realism.
Yeah.
As one ages, tiredness becomes less of a feeling and more of a perpetual state of existence,
Yeah.
or so I've heard. Um, I'll do my best to trance as much as I can before morning comes. I hope your
Okay.
preparations go well as well. Um, cool. Uh, he bids you good night. All
Mhm.
of you go to sleep. Um, Night, the night turns into day, and in the morning, you guys look up and you see the ship is like being navigated through these it's like on the coast of this island, like a bit before it, there's like a wall that's being constructed with like holes that the ships can like sail through, but like almost like a giant island is being built out of white stone in front of this city and kind of along the coast. Get very tall, with like holes tall enough for ships to sail through. But eventually, as you sail through, the city of Palestrom comes into view. Um, you guys sail in. You see that like this is like a city that like is like built on these cliffs, and they kind of like spiral down into where the port area is, and you kind of have to like climb up these winding steps to get to the higher portions of the city, and eventually the highest point is this giant tower with like spires, like very gothic architecture. And the closer you get to the city, the more you can feel that like almost perpetually there's a wind blowing. Um, you guys sail in. Aurelius does not have a ton of ability to control the wind, but he's like nudging the ship here and there to make sure it gets into port all right. Um, and you get in. People kind of like gesture over to where the best place would be to dock. And you guys all dock successfully. What are the preparations everybody wants to make before they leave? Like before they step out into the city?
Is Sumo okay with me having the bat to put in the cages again?
Yeah. Regretfully, I will ask him to exit his little nest in my room and go back to the hold for the time being, making sure to note that it's only temporary.
Okay.
Um,
I trust you.
I wouldn't do this
Mm.
if I didn't know that you would be able to come back soon. Just give us a bit of time.
Cool. Ruby.
What's the plan with the animals, Captain? Like, do we have a plan?
Okay, so we're gonna be putting all of them here, like in this the room we found them. Like I will also, with the help of like probably Andros, move Ophelia's little aquarium into that room as well. I will be dressed as Aramis, and basically, should I just roll for a disguise stuff now?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, the first one I will do for Old Man Jenkins Rel. Let's see how he looks. Do you use dexterity or charisma when using the disguise kit?
Um, I, it feels like I think it's supposed to be dexterity.
Okay, okay, no, that's fine.
Um,
That's fine. We can do that. Let's see his. Okay, so I'm gonna let you know.
okay, so this is just the worst old man
Wait.
disguise.
Question,
Oh
question.
my
But the
god.
voice.
Uh,
But
yeah,
the
yeah,
voice.
yeah. Okay, I didn't say it beforehand, so we're sticking with that natural one. But afterwards, can I ask Fields for help the next time?
Sure,
Okay,
sure.
for me, I'm like, all right, well, you help me. Okay, because I can't see myself that well.
Okay.
So I look
Um,
like Aramis.
you are the spitting image of Aramis. There's like rouge on your body. Um, kind of like makeshift horns, or maybe like hidden
Yeah,
inside
they're paper mache.
the
Yeah,
yeah. But they look very, very convincing. Feels kind of like spruces it up a little here and there.
I got a scarf
Um,
bandage for the neck, for like the throat thing. It's perfect.
yeah. You guys, is anybody else and Rel over here, just is like it just he's wearing like a sign that says old man on it. No, I'm just kidding.
They can definitely see that it's not like a pillow that has a gut. You can see it's just a pillow in a shirt.
Yeah, very obviously. And he's like, are you sure this is gonna work,
Oh yeah.
Sonny?
The rope only covers half the head. So like you see half of his thing. And like
I
I didn't even
feel
get
like
Stay below decks if I were you.
I did not even get his hair right with the bun. Half of it fell out of the bun. Like, yeah, this is my good work. And also I didn't even change his clothing, so he has his like same flowy clothing.
yeah, he's fully wearing a Windseer's cloak.
Yeah.
He's like,
Perfect.
maybe I'll tend to the animals or something.
No, I don't want you anywhere near the animals.
Oh, valid. And he goes, I think perhaps if I'm saying below deck, I don't need to do the voice, but I'll be honest with
It's
you.
no, what you said. You said they can listen to us. Rel, this is imperative. You are an old man. Look at me. Look at
Right.
me. You are a method actor. You are now Rel, the old man that's been at seas for 25 years, visiting the Gallant Republic, hoping maybe he can see his son that he's abandoned for so many years. He must be how old now? He must be 28? Maybe you could see him
Ah,
as a fully grown man. But you're not
ah,
gonna push it because you
but
were
would I have the right?
that's
Would
it.
I have the
I
right
do
now,
you
after leaving him, to become who he is by his lonesome without my guidance?
exactly.
Oh! Oh, the sea is a harsh mistress, but fate evermore so.
Rel, your pillow fell out. Put it back
Oh,
in.
unfortunate. Ooh,
Well, you know what? You got the acting part down.
truly lacking in decorum. Oh, what have I done? Um,
All right, perfect. You know what? Honestly, you can pull it off. I wouldn't, I wouldn't be able to tell, and I'm a pretty insightful individual.
oh yes. Oh, honestly, I've forgotten what my real name is. There is only Rel now.
Only
Um, he's getting really into this. I think it helps him cope with the stress of the situation. He's just diving into this persona that you all have created for him.
I also,
Um,
I just one more thing I wanted to add to his persona.
yeah.
He is. I will also let Andros know that this is a highly stealthy mission, so we will need his full cooperation. He and Andros are good drinking buddies.
Oh, yes, I love drinking. And Andrews goes, well, that's good, because we're starting your fucking method acting now. he kind of puts his
Yeah.
arm around Rel and like drags him over to like have an ale with him, and Rel goes, "My constitution." Um, um, uh, any other preparations before we head off to this island? Yeah, to the port.
Will I should I get out those Shatterstones just in case? Or is that a little too much?
Hmm?
Why
Oh,
use it now?
Oh,
I'll just flip. Uh,
oh, go ahead. You go first.
I'll just slip a couple in my belt buckle. I don't know my pockets.
Exactly how many? This is important.
Okay, I'll flip three.
Great. Cool. Good
Okay.
test. You put three, and you see, you actually, Tinks has been holding on to them because he kind of asked to um, use them for a bit. And he goes, "Hello. Oh, you've come to retrieve some of them. Um, uh, well, I've made a couple of prototypes, but I've figured out a way, in order to configure these so that when we launch them from cannons, they will do incredible amounts of damage. Of course, you may use as many as you would like for your own purposes, but I would like to use maybe 6 of them for this purpose. If we were ever in ship-to-ship combat, it may prove extremely useful to not only have cannonballs that pierce through things, but also explode into a million pieces when they're inside."
That's amazing. I can't wait to see that. Sounds so badass. Okay, absolutely. And can you look into seeing if we can recreate any more of those stones? Like, is there
Um,
any way we can do that?
I will look into it, but this is a very ancient technology. Um, it's strange. I haven't seen much of its use, but it seems extremely useful. I will look into it as best as I can. And it makes you that promise. And it hands you 3 of the stones. They're like, you hold them in their hand, and it's like glowing with like this pale blue light. Especially because I think it recognizes that it's your magic that kind of it was infused into them. You put 3 kind of in your pack, and you head out. Alok, any prep before we leave?
We're not trying to hide ourselves, are we? Me and Suma.
I mean, when you're investigating, I assume you want to be a little bit stealthy because you're going into the, you know, illegal thing. So I'd say probably hide your pins of the shield. Actually, forgot that. Hide the shield pins. That's gonna be weird. I'm gonna hide that. But
Are we not gonna go talk to the
well, you can put that on when you
shield?
talk to them. But
Okay.
but
Okay, then I'll hide it.
So
yeah,
have them on you, but don't have them prominently
yeah.
displayed.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I will take it off my journal and hide it.
Also,
Very cool.
another point of order, just putting this out there, Ruby should probably have one of the earrings of teleportation with someone from the investigation group, just in case one person falls, she can be there, or
What's
possibly
the
be.
range on it? How
Is
far
there
does it go?
range?
Infinite.
Really?
Oh,
Wow.
Uh, it doesn't work across planes of existence,
Okay.
but like within the same plane, it's infinite.
Cool.
Gnarly.
Yeah.
Alok, do you have a
Um,
preference which one of us should be wearing it?
No, I don't mind either way. Whoever you think we should get out of there if we need to.
I don't really know. I've been wearing it, so I'm happy to keep wearing it, unless you feel
I
otherwise.
I think we're fine the way we are.
cool. So
Okay.
Ruby and Suma have the earrings.
Yeah.
Cool. Very fashionable. Um,
And
you yeah.
I'm just gonna roll the Porsche's portrait.
Yes, yes.
All right, what we got? What we got?
Oops.
What we got?
What do we got?
Ooh,
That's
that's
technically
Ooh,
just a
good.
success. That's big.
that's a success, probably. Unless you have like a minus something. That's gonna hit most ACs too. Um, cool, very awesome. So you have that almost instant success in your back pocket. Do you all depart at the same time? What's the plan? Or who does somebody leave first?
Investigation team go. Me and Ruby stay.
Cool. Um, so you all dock, make your preparations, and Alok and Suma, you depart first. As you descend the gangplank onto this port, um, you can see that the port is made out of stone. Um, the entire port, and it seems like new. Like this does not seem worn down or like scuffed up or like damaged. It seems like this stone area of these docks and a lot of these like buildings around it have been built out of stone very recently. Not like yesterday, but like in the time scale of buildings. You can descend the gangplank and you see two people like kind of like soldier like looking dudes um, uh, kind of like have their arms crossed behind their backs, like as you descend the gangplank. And one of them is an elf, and the other one is a half orc. And the elf goes, "Halt there!
I halt.
In the name of the
Hello.
storm, in the name of the Storm King, the Vox Ventus, the voice of the wind himself, and the ruler of this land, um, you will have to consent to a search of your ship, um, as part of a customs check. Um, as you know, there is lots of trouble afoot most days of the week, and we do not have your arrival scheduled for today. It is very, very, routine and customary for us to do this. Um, your cooperation would be appreciated greatly.
Is that what all this building is? All the concrete that's being put up? Is that because of your fear? What are you afraid of?
Fear is not an emotion that the Storm King has ever displayed. And if the Storm King does not display that emotion, and neither does his people, it is merely an act of brilliant foresight. Should there be any strong storms in the future, our ports and our city will be entirely safe.
Well, you're welcome to approach the ship. The captain is on deck. You can speak with him. His name is Aramis. And we're slightly off schedule.
Uh, and you see he goes, Aramis. Have I not heard that name? And the him and the other guard like kind of like start talking about it, and then you hear from the corner of your eye you see two more figures approach behind these guards, and they go one of them goes, all right, we'll take it from here, guys. Don't worry about it. And you see this like short red skinned tiefling woman with like horns that like go out this way, and beside her, this very tall, human-looking man wearing furs and a great axe, kind of step up onto the deck, and the tiefling woman holds up a shield emblem, and she says, "They're this ship is one of ours. It was contracted to be protected under Shield authority. It has arrived slightly late, but as an assessment of these are, I believe, new members. Correct? She looks over to you, Suma and Alok. Correct?
Yeah, and
Mhm.
I'll get out my shield emblem to show her. The one who also has a shield emblem will say yes. We are the shield members who escorted the ship to Pellstrom.
Excellent. We have. You see, she kind of like um looks extra long at your emblems. If you both show them, kind of like making sure that you can. You feel like it feels like she's like scrutinizing them very like intensely. It's excellent. We have been expecting you. Um, we will have much to discuss as to the nature of um the lateness of the ship. However, she looks at the guards. She says, uh, we'll take it from here." And they go, and then you see that the elf goes, "Very well." Stomps off, clearly not pleased at his authority being usurped by this woman. Um, and she goes, "Did you lose any members in your trip here? There were meant to be 5 of you."
One of us, we did lose him, but not to suspicious circumstances. He chose to leave the shield of his own accord.
I see. That's fortunate. And you see the tall human beside her just grunt. Sounds about
Although
right.
there was one incident which we, and I sort of gesture to Alok, we were on our way to speak to the shield about wherever the chapter is here in Palestrom. But one of the senior shield leaders from Loki temporarily joined us, and he did not make it.
You see her eyebrows furrow. She says, "Would this be Sir Gawain?"
Mm-hmm.
That's the one.
You see she looks gravely to her partner. They make eye contact for a while and then nod to themselves. And you see she says, "I see. Um, well, in that case, is well, there's only two of you. One of them left. Are the other two still alive and intact?" Right. Well,
Yes.
They've remained on the ship.
I see. Um,
Although one of them is hiding.
one of them is hiding.
Yes, he is quite afraid of just about everything, and he likes to remain hidden until our missions start.
He's afraid of everything, and he joined an organization whose purpose
It was to cope
explicitly.
with his fear. It was trying to beat it, you know.
I see. Well, does that mean that he won't be joining us at headquarters? Because um, a
He
tragedy
might.
such as the one that befell Sir Gawain, in order to understand the full scope of it, um, it may be wise for all of you to be present.
I think we'll have to coax him out with treats.
Mhm.
You see the
He's
human
very
goes,
food motivated, you see.
"Yeah, we used to have a member like that."
I'm not a
And he
rat.
It's also worth noting that currently Aramis is under the weather and would not like to talk at all.
right, your charge, um,
Yes.
the the one you were supposed to be meant to be protecting. He's all
Mm-hmm.
right. Okay.
He's a little sick. Might be scurvy. Who knows? But
Well, all right. We'll wait here, and you can gather your shield members and meet us. We will guide you to shield headquarters um, in in Palestrom. Uh, this news about Gawain is very distressing, and perhaps should be attended to immediately. We can conduct our interview of Aramis and his first mate at a later date. Just for assessment purposes to see how their experience was and if they deemed you fit to continue going on missions such as these. As after all, you are new to this, aren't you?
yeah.
Yes.
Well, we were all new ones, right? And she turns to her partner and he's like, "Uh-huh." And she goes, "I'm sorry to hear that you lost a part of your party. It's a tough prospect." She looks over at her partner. "We used to be a group of five as well."
Oh, sorry.
Anyways, we'll be at the end of the dock. Just meet us when you're ready. And she walks over there. You guys are free to like kind of talk amongst yourselves and like decide what's about to happen. I'm actually gonna use the bathroom. So you
Okay.
guys be right back. Uh,
Man, were we not prepared for a story?
I'll send a message to you, Gallet, and be like, Aramis is under the weather.
Gotcha,
Feeling
scurvy.
We probably should have talked about a story before we left.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we
Oh
did
well.
figure they were going to be waiting for us outside the ship. I guess we were going to meet up with them eventually.
Should we just do that now, though?
Mm,
Like, everyone come down?
Well, I mean, I guess if okay, so it makes sense for us to all join them for the Shield of Celestia thing, even if I'm in this attire, because if they're on our side, then obviously they don't care if I'm Aramis in that moment.
I mean,
But if they're not on our side and they also have some like scumbaggy things happening, that would sort of just say you can't get me out with candy. Just say like, he ain't coming. He ain't coming. Maybe
well,
later.
we
Maybe later.
could we disguise anybody from the ship because they don't have like photo ID of us? It's like, hey, this is our fifth member. This is our fourth member.
Just take
You know?
Simon.
That's true.
I am not
Yeah.
having someone else come as me.
I think so. You don't think we can trust the shield?
I think it's a possibility. Well, like I'm just saying, it's even if it's small, technically a possibility that hey, they're the reason why we're not getting this ship even checked. And also, this whole ring operation is happening in the city where they are at. I'm not saying that it's their thing or that they're doing it. I'm just saying it is a risk, and
Hmm.
the benefit, like I just don't see like me being there. I don't know how much that actually helps, if that makes sense.
It
Like
might be
if it goes
not
wrong, then the
immoral,
whole
but
thing is bad.
amoral.
They did say that they wanted all of us though, so I don't know.
Yeah, you're right.
You could have
Should I just take off all my
Aramis.
makeup, then come back, and then come back and put the makeup back on?
If say Aurelius is
I
you,
guess.
and then you're Aramis.
Okay. So if I just take off all the makeup, then I go as me. I'll have Suzanne watch because she's someone that's been on the ship for a while and she's in like, you know, a shady individual. She'll handle the shady individuals. We'll come back. I'll put my stuff back on, and we're all good.
That works because they wanted to talk to us, the Shield members, and then they were going to talk to Aramis. So you don't have to. You're like
I'll
Hannah
play. I can.
Montana.
Yeah, that's too accurate. You get the best of both worlds.
Oh my god.
Yeah, okay, we can do that. That will work. All right, we got something.
All right, what's the plan?
Suba will tell me what's going on, and the plan is for me to hurriedly take off my makeup, show up as Gallet, return after we're done speaking, and then put my makeup back on as Aramis. And in the meantime, Suzanne will be the one in charge of looking for those shady individuals while on the ship. And if they show up, say Aramis right now, like he's just recovering a bit from scurvy, and just give him a moment, he'll be out at least by tomorrow.
Sounds great. Um, can you make a Gallet make another disguise kit check?
Yeah. Can I get the aid action again?
Yeah, for sure, with advantage.
Oh
Okay,
yes.
you are clean off
Nothing.
everything. Not a trace of rouge on your skin whatsoever. The paper mache horns are safely tucked into your pack for easy retrieval later, and you have all the stuff that you need with you. I would say that like when with that nat 20, um, the next time that you decide to disguise yourself as Aramis with the same thing, it's gonna look pretty good.
Okay.
Um,
I know how he looks now.
yeah, you kind of have it had that experience. You've done your cause test,
Yeah.
So your
I
cosplay
have
is
a
even
picture
more.
of him on my wall.
You do. For the bounty, I forgot about that. Um, awesome. So, you guys walk over to you guys gather together. You walk to the end of the pier, all four of you. And as you kind of approach, you see that they seem to be arguing. They're having like a heated conversation. Um, and then when they see you, they kind of stop and kind of nod gravely. The two of you kind of nervous. Clearly, what you've said to them has shocked them, or put them on edge. Um, like this news that Gawain is dead is troubling them to a great extent. Um, they introduce themselves. The red-skinned tiefling. She says, "Forgive my manners. I neglected to introduce myself or my partner in our rush to save you from the Storm King's lackeys. They sometimes I often, especially as of late, do not take kindly to the Shield's authority on Palestrom. Despite this being one of our larger chapters, they are becoming increasingly protective of their power, and the Shield as a neutral body tends to rub them the wrong way. So perhaps be careful in certain situations to not antagonize them. I am Sierra. Um, I've been a Shield member now for 6 years, and this is my partner, Ronso. And Ronso, the tall, gruff human guy, goes, "Sup?" Um, uh, we will be your liaisons for the Palestrom branch of the Shield for now. Um, if you'd follow us, we can resume talking, but keep your voice low because you never quite know who's listening. Um, you walk with them. Ronso seems pretty quiet. He kind of just like, brow furrowed, like head forward, is like marching off to where you guys need to go. Sierra is the more talkative one. She keeps like, kind of prodding and asking you guys questions, and she's like, um, "So, um, uh, what sort of troubles did you run into on the seas? How did Gawain die?"
Well, we
Maybe.
figured out, I think, um, have you heard of the, it's not exactly a curse, but the unfortunate circumstances that have been befalling new members of the Shield?
Yes. It hasn't quite happened in Palestrom, but we've received letters by Messenger Gull from Adaport of the attacks that have been occurring off the coast of Laki. It appears to be some kind of epidemic that's occurring over there.
Um, I don't know about, yeah, epidemic is an interesting word. We ran into the individual responsible, who we think is responsible, based on the symbols that had been carved on the victims were part of his servant's armor. I don't know what that's called. Out of character.
I see.
But it his legendary name is the Red Wraith.
Insight check.
You see Ronso on whom? On which person?
On Sierra.
On Sierra? Yeah.
There was too long of a pause. Insight. What does she
A 5.
know?
She's so fucking cool. She's
So-
so fucking cool.
Yo, she's so cool. Oh, 6 years? She must be so strong.
Yeah, she's clearly been a part of the Shield for a while. Very in the know. She seems like she can handle herself.
Yeah.
And she seems to be like kind of the brains, whatever operation they've got going on. It's just the two of them. They're a party of five and reduce it to. She seems to be kind of the de facto brains of what's going on. Who's kind of like the one putting together information and
Quite
perhaps
obviously.
the one more respected in the organization.
Yeah, of course.
But that's kind of easier to tell off the cuff.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned the Red Wraith, Suma, Ronso goes, kind of looks over and he says, "That's a myth." That's a myth.
Is
Sorry, I know it's hard to tell sometimes when I like do rough voices like with Mike. Yeah, he says that's a myth.
Yes, totally. I don't know
can
what I
you
was talking about. Oh, Suma, have
can
you
you
been
think of oh yes, I've been on
more
the
of that?
drink. Yes. I mean, can you think of anything else powerful enough to slay a senior shield member? It wasn't pirates, it wasn't harpies, it was supernatural.
Um, Kira nods to herself and she says, we had been receiving, we had heard some rumor of a group of smugglers that were traveling the seas that we thought perhaps were behind the attacks on the new members, but I highly doubt that they'd be able to kill someone like Gawain. So it is unlikely that they were actually able to kill Gawain. So there must be something else at play here.
Yeah,
Clearly.
of course. Also, hi. I'm the scaredy cat one. I would
Yes,
like
I could
to
tell.
I would like to add in just myths are sometimes exaggerated, but they're usually based on a start. That's how stories begin. Just a simple action that people tell again and again, and then they embellish it. But everything has a start. And also, I mean, ghosts are real. Okay, I'm saying it. It's ghosts are real. I'm not crazy. I've seen it.
You see Ronso goes, some ghosts are real. But a ghost as powerful as the stories say about the Red Wraith? Well, I don't know about that. And you see Sierra kind of nudges him to like be quiet and stop antagonizing you, and she says, "There is some amount of truth in all stories, I think. Less truth in
Uh,
others, but at least some in all of them."
So yeah,
Stories, have you heard about the Red Wraith?
You see Ronso goes, well, it's said that he first came about roughly 400 years ago, uh, and that he was destroyed at some point, but that at his peak, um, he would rip apart ships and graft them onto his own, which I don't even know how that's supposed to work, right? Uh, he was just supposedly a terror across all of the seas of Ela, and that he would murder everybody he came across, leaving none to tell the tale, which I always thought was dumb because, like,
yeah, yeah. I
who's
mean,
telling the stories if everyone's dead, right?
yeah, that's crazy talk. I mean, I understand dead men tell no tales, but that's how you. Who said that? Who the guy that survived said that? You know.
Exactly. Exactly. Um, and you see, uh, eventually, you guys kind of walk through the streets
Actually,
of Palestrom. Yeah.
during that time, I would have just at some point say, yeah, that's a good point, and I each I'm trying to be a little bit buddy buddy with them, and I at some point I'll just tap one see her on the shoulder, yeah, good idea. And while Fields is invisible, can she, while I'm touching them, also touch them and get a vibe check, if you will?
Make a stealth check for feels, I guess. See if she'll like feel
Yeah,
feels.
yeah, yeah. Let's see. Feels. Let me see what's her. Oh, okay. Let's see. Well, since she is invisible, that's an advantage, I believe. So, no matter what, it's 20.
Okay. Okay. She is undetectable as she touches Syrah. Syrah seems very, very nervous, on edge, anxious, on guard.
Interesting.
Um, whatever is going on, the stuff that you're telling her worries her greatly. Has set off alarm bells in her head, and you can tell that she's anxious to get to where you guys need to go so that all of this can be resolved
Also,
in a way that kind of makes sense to her, because none of this really makes sense to her, right? She's very confused. Like, there's a lot of confusion. Like, what the fuck? Also, God, just get to headquarters. Type of feeling.
just making sure they're not weird with alignments, right? They're not one of the smugglers. Is all I'm making sure.
Um, uh, Touching Sierra, you would get chaotic good.
That's good enough.
Yeah, you can tell that like she would do what it takes to do the right thing. Uh, like even if it requires like some underhanded tactics or like if Gawain was around and was like, listen, we must follow the honorable path, she'd be like, I don't give a shit, we gotta kill those pirates. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, fireball, whatever. Um,
And
who
Ronso?
cares? Ronso, I would just take that role again. Ronso seems less nervous. He seems unperturbed. He kind of feels like whatever is going on, the situation is in control. and can be controlled, and it will be resolved. And he's not shaken by that idea. He's more of a, I guess, chaotic neutral.
Okay.
His intentions are not as pure as Sierra's is, but you can tell that he kind of takes his cues for what to do from her. So whatever her morality is kind of what he goes with.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool. Right. So as you all walk along with these two, um, Palestrom is this large, sprawling city. Um, you see people like walking by, and like everywhere you go, the city is like constantly windswept, and everybody's wearing this like clothing that like kind of flutters in the breeze. Like the fashion here is like fluttery and flowy as possible, but you can tell that the robes that they wear is like insulated from like the constant like cold winds that are like blowing through the city. It's kind of like, I don't know if it's just my experience, but like San Francisco is always windy for no reason. It's just always windy wherever you're there. The wind is blowing, but see, it's even worse. Um, it's windy the way Seattle is rainy. Um, so yeah, you can
Chicago.
tell, or yeah, or Chicago, yeah, Chicago, exactly. So they have these thick linings. You can tell the furs are like imported from like Edelheim, which is that white island in the corner that we've never really talked about. It's like this really cold place. You walk by and you can see that like the roads that you walk on are like dark cobblestone, and they're winding, and like they're not very well laid out. They're kind of like winding around and kind of nonsensical, in stark contrast to Lagan, which was straight and rigid and lawful. This place is like, we are the wind, we're flowing everywhere. There was no concrete city planning when this place was created. Um, the buildings, which seem older, have this like elaborate Gothic architecture with like spires and like gargoyles like kind of like poking out. There are some wooden buildings are very rare here, and you can see kind of like vast parts of the city have been like torn down, and there are homes being rebuilt on top of them of stone. So as you get the impression that like there's kind of like an initiative of like um, people, old wooden buildings are being torn down and replaced with stone buildings, and you can see that there is a considerable uh, population of homeless people here who have been displaced as they're waiting for their homes to be rebuilt. Um, as you go, Ruby, you would recognize that a lot of these newer buildings are being built using stone imported from Palea. So the kind of stones that um, like you have experience with knowing that mining communities often like will like export the stuff. It's being used here. Um,
They won't export, or they
Maybe
usually
not
do.
just here, but like um, they usually export them everywhere around the world, and this is one of those destinations where they're heavily using that kind of stone here. All around, you see those pipes running into buildings and stuff, and you see there's some portions of like central squares and like plazas where there's like a circle. There's like these pipes that come out of it, and periodically you will hear like pipe organ music coming from out of them, just kind of like filling the air. And you can tell that like wherever this sound is coming from, it's traveling a great distance from very far away. Um, cool. Yeah. So you're kind of walking through, and eventually, Sierra and Ronso stop in front of this like um old like worn metal gate, and she's like she turns and says, try not to be too conspicuous while I undo this lock. She kind of like, you see her like kind of like this arcane kind of like magic around this lock that turns. She like holds her shield emblem to it, and like the lock uh, opens up. You all file into this like large courtyard. Um, there's like the buildings, the houses here have like stone roofs that are like lined with like violet and green. Um, there's like a bunch of them, and there's these narrow alleyways that lead off into like dead ends. And at the very like far corner of the courtyard, there's this like stone mural of like people on a ship like fighting like monsters, and kind of you see like vaguely the outline of a door on it, and in the middle there's this little grassy area, this large tree with red leaves that are falling slowly to the ground. um, and as you pass through, uh, Ronso and Sierra like nods to Ronso, and she's like, I'll make sure that no one, you know, is watching. And she turns to the rest of you and she says, we've long since suspected that the Galenian elites are conspiring to undermine the shield's presence in Palestrom. So we've taken to conducting most of our more important business in more secret locations across the island, across the city. There are similar locations to this in Adaport as well. Um, Sort of a trade secret that you'll learn as you make your way up the ranks. She kind of hangs back, like keeps an eye out. Ronso kind of takes you uh, like over to this wall, this mural. He like raps on it with his knuckle. He's like, to most people, right? It's just a door, but if you're a shield member, right, it'll open up for you. Um, uh, he pauses and he says, I want to know. I want to hear the story before we tell it to everybody else. How exactly did Sir Gawain Redshield die?
I just turned to the rest of the group like I think they're pretty. I think at least Sierra's pretty cool. I mean, look, you paid us for to do a certain job, and we did it, even if you're not happy with the results. Gawain stayed with us because he thought something suspicious was happening. The Red Wraith showed up. He used some kind of spell that aged him a lot to give us a fighting chance. He just, and then after that, it seemed like for some reason he was enticed to go to the Red Wraith's side of the ship, got stabbed, and got absorbed. There's, I understand that that sounds not like it would be a likely thing, but there's a reason why a lot of ships have been going down near Loki, and the Red Wraith seems to be absorbing things for its own purposes.
See, I find that very difficult to believe.
Yeah.
You understand why, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, no, no, like I didn't believe it when it was happening at the moment. Like it was when you see skeletons, you're like, I hear skeletons are real. That's normal. But then you see a ghost pirate crew captain, and he's just like sucking in ship things, and you're like, that feels like it's pushing it. That just doesn't feel like a real thing, but definitely real. And from what this group has all sort of seemed, it's very consistent behaviors of things that we're attached to is saying, hey, that's the Red Wraith, hey, that's a bad thing, might want to kill it. I mean, if I meet Ruby, may I say something about your god? Or should you?
You can say it. Um,
Hmm?
I said you can say it.
Oh, Ruby here is a cleric of Priscilla, I believe, right? Got that?
Mm.
Uh, and she had an epiphany as a cleric would for the deity they worship. And Priscilla just straight up told her basically bad news. Red Wraith wants to kill her, and that might also come into play with the whole. I know there's a prophecy from the Gallon Republic from some Windseer that like there's a big storm coming, and maybe that would help give it a little bit more oomph. But
Right.
unless you send another envoy to die, that's the most information you're going to be getting. Period.
This is some kind of story you guys are spinning right now.
I
Everyone's on board with this? Is this something Like,
Everything you said is true.
really.
Can I look to Sierra? This guy's talking a
Uh,
lot, but I obviously could tell with my insight that she's the smarter one.
yeah. You look towards her and you see she is like leaning back against the gate with her arms folded. And then Ronso says, "See, it's the first thing out of your mouth that was the problem, right?" And he looks at you, Suma. The first thing you opened with was that Sir Gawain Redshield was dead, killed by some mysterious force. One of our highest and most renowned masters and leaders murdered, which, you know, would be concerning if we didn't receive a letter from Sir Gawain 3 days ago. And he reaches into his pocket, pulls out a letter, and he says, "Faithful members of the Shield, it has come to my attention that there is a rogue party of smugglers pretending to be Shield members raiding the coasts of Laki. I managed to sneak aboard their vessel and gain their trust, but they attempted to kill me in my sleep. I only barely found a way to survive long enough to return to Adaport and send this letter. They should be arriving in Palestrom sometime soon. I gleaned as much from their conversations while I was aboard. They're extremely dangerous and not to be trifled with. If they are seen, capture them through whatever means necessary and finish them. Attached is a description of their vessel. He turns it. He turns the thing, and he like shows you the picture, like picture perfect, the Reaper,
Well,
like
it's
on
actually
it.
it's no longer perfect.
That's true. It's true, but like
Well,
it's
yeah,
very
it's
similar.
very similar. I'm just saying it's no longer
Yeah, yeah,
picture
yeah, yeah.
perfect.
That's true. That's true. That's true. And in a written physical description, written by myself and my nephew Liam, and he turns to the last page of it. There's like 5 little blurbs, uh, and and he says, "It looks like at least 4 of you are here. This was postmarked by Gawain himself,
And the writing
magically."
is okay, so it all fits him
I have a
specifically.
question out of character, which
Yes.
is, does, based on what Ronso just said, and when we left, do the timelines match? Like, could Gawain have sent that before we left, or is it not possible based on when we
No.
saw him or thought we
This
saw him
would
die?
have had to be sent sometime afterwards.
Okay, so weird.
Can I
So, how do you know? How do you know this is actually from Sir Gawain? Like, not from some imposter?
He shows you the seal on the envelope, and he says, "High-ranking members of the guild have access to arcane seals that prove their identities. This was Sir Gawain, and you are not Shield members."
DM, I just want to
Is that a D?
I
Yeah.
have a question for you. If I pull out my Aramis's navigation log, is the writing similar? Like the straight up writing style? Is it similar?
No. Actually, you see that uh on your when you received the letters saying that you got accepted, I think you got no, you guys got a letter summoning you to Gawain's office initially. On your first day, like when you went off into your mission, it matches that handwriting. This is without a doubt Gawain's handwriting.
Take out the shield emblem that I have and look at it and try to compare it to the ones that they have and see, like, does ours look like counterfeits now that I'm taking a closer look?
It doesn't. It just looks like theirs has been like replaced with like better, like kind of like as you rank up in the military, you get kind of these additional things on it, and they just seem like to identify themselves as more highly ranked.
Mhm.
But yours still seems genuine, and in fact, Ronso, as you take it out, acknowledges it. Like, I gotta say, that's either the best counterfeit I've ever seen, or you had to kill some of those newbies to get them.
Do
Either
we still
way,
have?
Do you
you have
not
burus.
keep logs of anything?
Well, I was gonna say,
Yes?
do we still have that letter that gave us our mission? That would be Gawain's handwriting.
Uh, would you have taken it with you?
There's no reason to throw it away, right?
I like to think we would have kept it, but
I wouldn't have.
Uh,
I I don't
if
know.
you feel like Suma is the kind of person, make a luck check. It's a 1d20.
Just a d20, sure.
Yes, one flat d20.
Sure.
On a flat 10, I'm gonna say you take out the letter, and as you do, you hear Sierra from across the way. In her hand is like a sending stone, and she says, "Hey, Ronso, it's confirmed. The animals are in the hold." Um, and she puts it away. Ronso nods. He says, "Well, okay then." Draws his battle axe. Everybody roll initiative.
Okay. This is
Is there a battle map?
Yes. Give me a
And are we doing
second.
initiative on the website? Roll20.
Roll 20. Gosh, why can I never find this when I need it?
Hey
I know we talked about
guys,
that like 2 weeks ago, so I don't know if
It was so long ago.
yeah.
this is not going out well. I was expecting a lot different things.
Well, I'm
He's
pretty sure I know how this happened, but I don't know how we
really?
explain. Yeah, I don't have time to say it right now.
Yeah, we can learn that later.
We can talk about it briefly if you like. I'm setting up a couple things.
I mean, who do you think's his crew? Which people that he's killed, right? So he probably has control of his soul now,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Wait, who?
The Red Wraith probably has control of Gwaine because he killed him and like absorbed him or something weird.
That's interesting.
Cool. Can I get like a marching order of like kind of left to right? Actually, I'm just gonna transition everybody over. You are in.
That seems fine to me. right there.
Cool.
Yeah.
You're in this
Just
large
all line up in a
courtyard.
row.
You're in this large courtyard. Ronso in front of you, in front of this large stone wall with a mural on it. All the way in the back is Sierra. Everybody's rolling initiative. Turn tracker.
Nice.
Oh, why do I have a roll for? Okay, let me delete that.
If you want to get Ruby on there, you'll have to click on your token, click on Ruby's token, and then click initiative on your sheet again.
Okay.
It's like with Ruby selected, click initiative. Yeah, nice.
Nice.
Ronso. 11.
And then you can type in 5.12. Oh.
Got it.
Let me approve Sierra.
Thank you.
Don't worry, guys. We're gonna be detained. They won't slaughter us.
I don't think that's very reassuring.
Why is Sarah way over there?
Where is she? I don't see her.
She's way
She's
in
all the way in the
way at
back.
the bottom.
She
She-
waited
okay.
behind.
Waited.
Ronso stayed in front.
Yes. Smart man.
Yeah, don't look at the monster manual because I changed the stat blocks a lot. I just like being able to click things directly from there. Cool. Okay, so we got Alok first. You are first in the initiative order. What is your move?
I don't know. I can't convince him. I'm not very charming. I guess I won't even reach for a weapon or anything. I'll just say, I promise, we are a part of the shield. The Red Wraith did something to Gwaine. It absorbed him or something. I don't know.
How many times are you gonna tell the same fucking story?
That's a little different that time.
It's getting old.
Alright. And then I'll I don't want to fight these guys. They're shield members. Does it look like everybody else in the party is gonna get ready? Are they like? Is everyone reaching for weapons or whatever?
Yeah, is everybody reaching for weapons?
I'm not at this point.
I
Hands
might,
up as well.
I might do something, but I'm definitely not reaching for a weapon.
All right,
Yeah, me neither.
then I'm just gonna step back and hold my hands up and say, "I swear, we're innocent."
That's your move?
I don't. Yeah, I don't want to initiate fighting them. They're
Cool.
allies.
All right. That is your move. You're not going to take an action.
No, I'll take the dodge action.
You take the dodge action. So um, everything disadvantage against you. Excellent. Um, as you do that, Alok, you make a perception check. Actually, you see this. As you're kind of like doing this, like, hey, nothing's going on. You see from around the corner on the rooftop, right to the side of you. Um, 1 second. An archer steps out from behind a chimney, knocks an arrow, boom, fires. Um, roll for that. Okay, 10 is not going to hit you. So fires an arrow, whiffs you entirely. Um, uh, uh, Suma, that is your turn.
um, straight to Sierra, I'm just going to say, we do know who the smugglers are. You're right. The ship was full of immoral people, but we are members of the Shield, and you won't get the information if you harm us.
Ooh, make a persuasion check at disadvantage.
Okie dokie.
They're very much convinced. An 8. She shrugs this off and she says, "The letter went on a lot further. Gawain was pretty certain that you would use any underhanded tactics possible to convince us to let our guard down the way he let his guard down. We will not make that mistake." And do you take an action or movement anywhere?
Yeah, I guess. Oh, balls. I'm gonna stay where I am. I'm going to dodge also for now.
Cool. Stay where you are and dodge. Um, you see Sierra steps forward. She doesn't seem to do anything particularly, um, like in an attempt to attack anybody, but she does move. Let me. I learned how to do this, by the way. This way. And casts mage armor on herself. Um, cool. And that's going to be Sierra's turn. Um, who is up next? Cool. So as you all are standing there, Ruby and Gallet, you have yet to move. Um, uh, like a shadow kind of like appears in above you in the roofs, and another archer reveals themselves on a rooftop, takes a step forward, takes a shot at the closest target, Ruby, um, who has not had the chance to take the dodge action yet. An 18. Um, 18, and that'll be 7 damage to you, Ruby.
Can't do math.
You can just type it into the green thing.
Oh, into the green thing? Oh, I just,
There you go.
that works. Yeah.
Cool. It is now Ronso's turn. Ronso is gonna just draw his battle axe, and with one hand beat on his chest repeatedly, and you see his eyes like turn white and like veins bulge out on his forehead as he enters into a rage. He does not attack quite yet, but you see him like like kind of like amp himself up, readying an action to swing if any of you come close to him. Cool. That is now going to be Gallet. Your turn.
Okay, well, seeing how things are going bad, seeing how we're all not even fighting, and they're still throwing out pot shots, Gallup, knees shaking because this is not how this is supposed to go, will run towards Sierra and go prostrate on the ground in front of her. Please, I know that you're the smarter one. It's quite obvious. We haven't raised a weapon. We've been only taking arrows from you guys. We have items on us that can help prove our story. On the ship, there's smuggled animals from Aramis. My ring has some kind of deity that speaks of the Red Wraith. Priscilla speaks of the Red Wraith. There's
Make a persuasion check.
disadvantage. Oh wait.
Just regular, just
Okay.
flat.
Okay. Hey, Suma.
Yes.
Please.
Oh, sure. Do I have to say it before or after you roll?
You can roll first.
Okay.
Sure. Do you want to roll, and then if it
Yeah,
looks
yeah.
bad, then I'll.
Yeah, it looks bad.
Okay. I'll use it.
So it'll be a 22.
22.
I'm
A
prostrate.
22.
Just
On a 22, Sierra just kind of like in confusion. She's like her chest heaving. She was like you get the sense that she was been preparing for this fight for a while. Like they got that letter and they're like, we're gonna be the ones who catch these people and then get the reward. Or like get the favor of Gawain and the higher ups at the shield. But you are making a very compelling point of like none of us are even drawing our weapons right now. Like we don't have to fight.
by the way,
And
I also assume right now, due to us doing nothing and just running and all that, we also look probably too pathetic to have killed Gwaine.
yeah, that's definitely counting in one way. She looks very, very confused, and she kind of like looks over at Ronso to like kind of be like maybe they're telling the truth, but Ronso in a blind rage does not seem to be phased by anything. He's trying to fight. Maybe Sierra won't, but Ronso definitely will. But Sierra seems like she's not going to be taking any super offensive actions anytime soon, and perhaps may not want to fight at all, depending on how this goes. Cool. Do you want to do anything else with your turn?
You know what? Fields will come out of invisibility, and while I'm like prone on the ground, kneeling towards her, she will just appear on my head and do a curtsy. And can Fields speak for Ophelia in this moment? Because she's part of Ophelia. Like, can she somewhat like I am like a minor deity toad spirit. You'll find me on the ship.
Ophelia Fields appears. She's like, "Hi. So I don't really know how much this helps, but like, I'm kind of like, do you know what an emperor frog is?" And Sierra's like, "I mean, yes." And Fields is like, I'm kind of like part of one. He's telling the truth." And Sierra just like, she's like so like befuddled by this. Like, why does this day keep getting fucking weirder?
Can you stop attacking us so we can talk?
She like holds a hand up, and then slowly lowers it as if she's not sure what to do, but she's definitely that perhaps it would be a good idea. Um, Gallet, I think that's all your turn.
I'm good.
Okay, Ruby, that's you.
I use command to like affect someone's emotions. So can I turn to Ronso and say like calm?
Simmer.
Simmer down. Calm.
Let me see.
Chill.
Yeah, chill.
I know there is a spell that's supposed to like be like you affect the room and then people you can like
calm emotions.
calm them down. Yeah, but I don't know how.
Mm-hmm.
I could do that for command as well.
Okay. I mean, that sounds good. Yeah. You
Or
cast
like
command.
de-rage.
You cast command on him. He must make a wisdom saving throw. What's yours? 12. So I'm gonna roll that save for him on the table. Okay, it's just a flat
Yeah.
Ooh,
an 8. You cast command. You say calm, and you see the veins. He kind of snaps out of it. Looks around. Very confused. Cool. Do you say anything after that?
I'll just say, if you take us to the animals, you'll see that they're not afraid of us. Like one of them is our crew member is like familiar. There's an armored snail that I have a very good rapport with. Like we're not against them. Like these are people that we saved, or these are animals that we saved. The crew before.
Uh,
He yeah.
just a point of action. For when our group member did leave and went to his island, could we
Yeah.
have said he took the prisoner he cared so much about with him?
Yeah, that's what he did.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if I didn't hear that or anything.
Oh,
So I
Justine.
was scared if the snail was still
Oh,
there. Like,
that's what you
yeah,
mean.
yeah, yeah.
Top of this.
Cause I did talk to him. Like,
Ooh.
we probably need to find an island on the way out to get rid of him. So if he was leaving, we would have already been on that ball. But if also for like,
Okay, so you and
yeah,
Jason had talked about
we've
like
already talked about that. We just, yeah.
okay. That seems like is everybody else cool with that? I don't know if anyone like had a particular interest in Justine at all.
Makes
Cool.
sense that he would have
Yeah,
gone with Guru.
that makes sense. That makes sense. We'll say that Justine went with Buru back
Okay,
to
because
Hatsu.
that would have been really bad.
Yeah.
Well, who's this? Who's this guy in the prison?
Yeah.
This Galenian guy.
Okay.
Cool. Ronso, Ruby, after you said to Ronso, he looks over at Sierra, who like shrugs. Who like they both are like super fucking at. They're like, this is not how this is supposed to go. Ronso seems to calm down. And I'm gonna let me. Okay. Um, Sierra eventually just nods at Ronso, and he holds up a hand. Sierra holds up a hand, and these two archers on the roofs lower their bows. We have now exited combat. The fight has been averted.
Whew.
But you guys are all still here. Um, Ronso kind of looks over, and he says, "You're gonna take us to the animals."
Yeah. Question. So, just to make sure, Sierra, or is there anyone else in the shield that can speak to animals, can cast something to tell what we're telling is the truth, or read our mind? Is there anything you can do magically to help corroborate our story? Because I can speak to
The
animals,
code of truth.
but like, yeah, there's I can speak to them, but you can't. I assume.
I'm
Um,
wondering because at some point we said that Bella speaks common, but I'm not sure if he's doing that telepathically or if that matters.
I think I want to say it's probably telepathically for
So I
Bella
mean, I
specifically.
could ask him if he would speak to the shield telepathically.
Sure, yeah,
So I guess I'll
because you
say
can
that
just
out
you can just
loud.
summon
Yeah.
Bella immediately.
Yeah, I'll say that, and I'll before I start like casting a spell, I'll say to Sierra and Ronso, my own familiar is one of the animals that we saved from the smugglers on the ship. May I summon him, and he can speak with you?
Yes, sure. But she still seems tense, but she's allowing this to happen.
Just as a warning, he's a bit shy, so be gentle with him.
Um,
I'll give her a look over my glasses, like, if you fuck him up, I'll kill you.
uh,
Boy.
you feel a pressure on your shoulder as Bella appears there, and then he opens up, uncovers his eyes, and like Ronto's like, oh Jesus, and he kind of flies over to Syrah, lands on this bench across the way, kind of keeping his distance, and kind of like, and you can, I'm gonna say you can hear what he's saying telepathically to her, and he's like, yeah, actually, um, Sir Suma and everybody at the Shield has been really, really nice to all of us. Before the masky monkey guy left, monkey like MONK-Y, not monkey the animal. Monk dude, left like that. You know, he always made sure to feed us, and ever since we got the nice singing lady and the other rougher lady, we've been getting good food as well. They're super kind. You gotta believe them. Um, can you have Bella make a persuasion check with advantage?
Actually have his stats, I realize.
Oh, you're right. I should do that.
His charisma is obviously a 20, so
Yeah.
His charisma is pretty high. I want to say he's one of those people who is like super introverted, but everyone loves them.
I can roll a d20 and you can add whatever you.
Let's say +4 with advantage for your boy Bella. Oh, it's a nat 20.
Everyone
He's
Uh,
my boy. Oh, I love him.
on that nat 20, Syrah nods to herself. She's like, all right. You're extremely cute, bat friend.
I'll lift him, and he like, I feel like we've practiced this where he like latches onto my arm upside down. I just carry him around like this.
He's like, ta-da! Like spreads out his wings. It seems like you're extremely. Oh, he's so cute. Why is he so fucking cute? Was it? I feel like
It
I
was
was
my plan
mad.
all along.
I feel like I was mad 20 seconds ago, and then now I'm looking at him, and now I'm not mad anymore. She goes, okay, and she like, the archers kind of like they call off the archers who don't seem to be like they seem to be like kind of not it's more like mercenary types. Maybe not necessarily even part of the shield, just like people they hired for this express reason because they felt like maybe other shield members wouldn't be keen on like an ambush like this, like in the city. They kind of just call them off. They kind of go their separate ways. So they are gonzo. Um, she sits down on this bench and she says, I don't understand any of what's happening. If what you're saying is true, then who sent this letter?
Alok, you had a theory.
yeah. I muted? Okay. Uh,
Mhm.
uh I think maybe the Red Wraith absorbed Gwaine in some way and made him part of his crew. But I'm not entirely certain.
Um, Ronso, you see Ronso lean back against a wall. He says, dead men tell no tales. Unless they come back.
Also, I just realized something.
Yeah.
In Zero, yeah, there's also like every single crew member on a ship can corroborate the story. Basically, the only
Wait,
difference the only
were they
difference is
below
that they were
deck?
sleeping. Well, yeah, but they still
Yeah.
experienced the some of the red stuff, right? Like they
I
saw
think they.
they saw him as a prisoner. They saw him, Captain Gwaine, as a prisoner.
They saw Captain
He was
Gawain as
disguised,
he was disguised when he was a
Yeah.
prisoner,
Oh,
so they
okay.
nobody out of the Aramis Flair and the four of you would have seen him in his like true state.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think they even really knew. Only Suzanne would have remembered that there was a stowaway.
Man.
Mm.
Okay. But we got a lot of
Could have
things
known
that
who
can.
it was.
I mean, what
Yeah.
they can corroborate is that the smuggled animals were already there. We weren't ones to do that.
Sierra, Captain Sierra, Shield Sierra. I don't know the specifics for titles when it comes to Shields of Celestia. Um, I know this is extremely big for you guys. Gwaine is dead. It doesn't make sense how he's dead. But also, I just wanted to let you know that since we were on a ship with the smuggled animals, we were planning to try to suss out the people that were buying it at this port. And I know that's smaller stuff, but I also feel like I need to tell you that because that means someone may be showing up at the ship looking for them. It's we're sort of juggling a lot right now, and it's a bit harsh. Bit harsh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't even know what happened
Um.
on Lagan. That's
Where?
there's an attempted human like the some of the officials in Lagan tried to kill a lot of humans. A lot of humans.
Every time you talk, I think that the thing that you're saying can't get weirder. And then every successive thing that you say is successfully weirder than the last thing. And I just
Yeah.
okay. This is a lot to take in.
Mhm.
Um. I say we all just return back to your ship,
Yeah.
and we can see. Ooh, and we can see if we can sort this out. Um, that's not really the entrance to the Shield headquarters. It was kind of like an ambush thing that we had prepared.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's like a front
And
door.
for what it's worth, in the interests of trying to figure out the whole smuggling thing, I told a white lie when we exited the ship. Aramis is long gone.
He's dead.
No, no, no.
No,
He's
no,
when the Red
he
Wraith showed up, he and
yes.
Valere absconded, and I sort of took. Oh, I took Captain. I got his hat from him, and that sort of just automatically makes you captain at sea. So
Uh, this you say this, and then Sierra looks over to Ronso, and they both just burst out laughing. Kind of like the ridiculousness of the situation has overwhelmed them finally, and there's like, okay, look, all right, and they just keep just like Jesus Christ, and Ronso goes, wow, first mission, that's
yeah,
fucking insane.
we get paid 10 gold for this, correct?
Uh, yeah, we can probably talk about that. Ronso kind of sheathes his great axe and is like waves over to the people like in front of him. He's like, "Hey, glad I didn't have to use this on you too. Granted, I still don't fully trust any of you, but seems that we have a sort of truce at the moment. So, you know, still glad no blood was spilt. Well, not a ton of it anyway." Sierra nods and she's like, "Yeah, I also apologize for my actions. This is an extremely confusing situation, and we're going to have to do some investigating. But I don't know. You seem trustworthy. I don't know what it is, but I can feel that you're telling the truth. So, against my better judgment, let's go back to your ship." Um, you all kind of depart from this courtyard, and you head back to the ship. And kind of as you are walking past, as you are walking through the streets, the cobblestone streets, you hear the pipe organ music playing, wafting over. You are buffeted by a strong wind, uh, and you see kind of like this city teeming a little bit more than maybe you're used to major cities with like town guards and like soldiers of the Storm King. They seem to be everywhere. But none of them accost you or stop you on your way back to your ship, and you make it there in one piece. And I think that that is where we're gonna end for tonight. It is around 11, almost 10 minutes from. Um, we're gonna cut it there if everyone feels okay with that.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
I
that cool.
I am disappointed on the inside we did not fight, even though I know it was the correct course of action.
You
That
think
would've
you're
been cool.
disappointed?
I don't know.
You think you're disappointed?
Also, may I just say, we're gonna have to have some serious talks with the Shield about how they apprehend suspects. You don't fire with arrows before anything's happened. That is just isn't good work. That's just not good work, you know? What if that
Well, to be
killed?
fair, they had good evidence. You know,
They did have very strong evidence.
Kill on sight
but
though, that's a little much.
Hey.
but there were several over 20 rolls that I have to honor, persuasion wise. So that's where we're gonna leave off as I try to recalibrate what the fuck to do now because no fight happened. I will say that like for successfully navigating that situation without ever having to cast a combat spell, everyone can level up to level 4.
Yay.
I was intending to do that after this fight, but I feel like that's like you solved the problem without violence, and that deserves to be rewarded as well. So go ahead, take your feats or your ASIs however you like. I don't have like a ban on any of them. Maybe don't all take lucky if you guys are gonna do
no,
feats. Maybe don't all of you take it
That's
simultaneously
amazing.
Not
because that's a
planning on it.
nightmare. Okay,
Well,
cool.
I
Just
don't like
a humble request.
Well, no, we can just reskin it as Pasha's portable portent in your body. You know, it's different.
That's true. That's true.
I consume the object.
Yes, you eat it. You are the portent now. But yeah, I think kind of in the coming days, I will kind of update like an LFG post, and see if we have any good applicants. Um, I'll probably post like a short like blurb about your characters, kind of I guess how much would you want me to put on there? Would you want me to like kind of say what your deal is, or like would you want that to be a mystery?
Honestly, I'm okay with them knowing.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Like, cause
Yeah.
we'd still like talk about it in character, cause they wouldn't
Mhm.
know per se.
Yeah,
But like,
yeah.
also, I assume if they're showing up, they're gonna be a new Shield of Celestia member, and we've already given them a lot of info on our characters just to prove our innocence. So it would make sense for a report to show up like that.
Sure. It wouldn't necessarily be a shield member. It could just be someone.
Impossible.
I mean, there's a
Absolutely.
lot of people already on your ship that have no reason, like no like official capacity to be there. You just
If someone takes reins of Nico, I'll be so happy.
Me too.
If someone
I
plays
love that boy.
yeah, none of you discovered this, but when Simon was told to clean the poop deck, he actually got Nico to do it for him.
That's what I
Aw.
suspected.
Yeah? Okay, cool. That is
He seemed like a good suspect for that.
yeah, absolutely.
What happened? Sorry, I missed that.
When Simon was ordered to clean the poop deck, he when he kind of like thought to himself and kind of went this, he actually went and convinced Nico to do it for him. So it was Nico
Oh,
scrubbing.
is that? I don't remember them.
he was
Nico is
really drunk.
yeah, he got really drunk and was like being really
He
like
is.
uncomfortably drunk with Ruby.
I think he's a French
Oh.
dark elf, correct?
Yeah.
He is a drow. He is
What's
a
his
drow.
name again?
Nico.
Nico Lightfoot.
How are we
Yes, Nico
spelling
Lightfoot.
That was I think the first mention of him was when we were doing Patrice's like last
Yeah.
Yeah, celebrations for Patrice.
How
Nico
are we
with the
spelling the name? Yeah.
Nico with the C.
Okay.
Actually,
A little thrown off there. Is it a
maybe
cat
K.
person?
Let's do K. Let's do K.
Yeah.
K with
He's got
K.
cat ears.
Cool. Alrighty. Let's I guess move out of this map. Go back here.
We did it, guys.
Yep. I
Yep.
did it by doing nothing.
It was a combined effort of literally nobody trying to fight simultaneously.
Next
I
time
think
we'll
that
kill him.
I think that if any of you had openly attacked them to begin with, I would not have let anybody try to convince. Like convincing them would have not have been possible. But since literally every single one of you collectively, I don't think anyone really talked about doing it, but kind of just one by one, you're like, I'm not going to fight them. I am not also not going to fight them. I'm like, okay, this makes sense. This would be convincing. I think I would be convinced. Cool. All right. I guess that's all for tonight. If any of you guys have any more questions or anything like that, I'll stick around. But otherwise, thank you for a great session.